So welcome to this special conversation to highlight Dr. George K. Baah, who is an accounting professor at Quinnipiac University School of Business in Hamden, Connecticut. George earned his PhD in management from Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. He is a chartered accountant and a certified public accountant with licenses to operate as an accountant in the United States of America and the United Kingdom. He is a product of the University of Professional Studies, Legon, Ghana. His research focuses on improving the quality of financial statement reporting and foreign aid effectiveness. Dr. Baah is the immediate past president of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, Members Association of the United States. Currently, he serves on ACCA's International Assembly, the ACCA Leadership Group, which is focused on improving the accounting profession. And he also serves on the Global Audit Assurance Committee of the ACCA. Dr. George, I want to welcome you to this special conversation today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dr. Muzata. I'm doing very well. Good to see you again.
Awesome. It's good to see you. So, George, you qualified with your ACCA in 2000. Could you share with us what your experience has been like the last 22 years? I'd like you to really focus on leadership as you share on your experience with ACCA.
Well, thank you very much, Sambo. So when I finished my ACCA exam in June 2000, I stayed for another 2 years to obtain an MBA in finance. And it was through the MBA in finance that I realized the value of ACCA as a business qualification. Because as an MBA finance student, there was nothing in the course that was actually new that I didn't have an idea about. The MBA took me further deep into it, but I always had an idea because of my ACCA work. In terms of experience, right after my MBA, I moved to the United States, and it was a shock to me that when I got to the United States, people didn't seem to know what ACCA was. And part of the problem was because I came to Atlanta, Georgia. So that was a challenge, but I found out that if I lived in the city of New York or California somewhere, or even DC, then people would know what a qualification was. And so for me, that was my marching orders. The first time when I got to Atlanta and I realized that people didn't know what ACCA was. I Googled ACCA and it was Association of Air Conditioned Contractors Association or something of the sort. And so my marching orders were given to me right there and then. And since then, I've been deeply embedded in ACCA's activities across the world. But that was just a little bit of the downside. Once I got in, my first consulting work as a temporary contractor, the knowledge and the skill that I brought to the table were so superior to almost everybody on my team. And it wasn't anything special. I didn't have 10 years experience in anywhere, but it's because I had a good education. ACCA trains you to become an all-round business individual. And so what I say all the time is just all an ACCA person needs is just one opportunity, and you see the product that he or she is because it's gone through the ACCA mill. Because of my ACCA, I've gone on to do some amazing things in the world of business. Again, there was nothing about business that I didn't have a sense of. I may probably not be an expert in lease design or lease reading, for example, but I had an idea about it. So all I had to do is just sit down, read through, and do what I need to do, what I needed to do. I fit in very well in corporate reporting. I fit in very well as a property accountant. I fit in very well as a fund accountant, and especially at Prudential Investments, where I was doing US GAAP and also IFRS because our clients were Germans. My ACCA qualification came very, 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 very handy. And I'm always grateful that I had those tools to work with.
Amazing, amazing. That's excellent there. So you are standing for council this year, 2022. So I know, I mean, your track record is very impressive, serving the accounting profession here in the United States, the North America region, and let me just say globally, because you serve at the global level. What inspired you to seek election as an ACCA council member?
That's a good question. Thank you very much. So, I'm very passionate about ACCA. Maybe I should go a little bit into history and then I'll move it forward.
Yes.
So, the reason why ACCA became what it is, back in 1909 when ACCA came up, was because there were the existing or the aristocratic accounting bodies didn't allow certain people to go for accounting qualifications. And the ACCA was established to give opportunity to people who were not, in the eyes of certain people, qualified to become accountants. There's a reason why the ACCA is the largest accounting body in the world today. But by opening the door for so many people, ACCA has grown so big, built a massive platform, which, in my opinion, is heavily underutilized and underserved. When I got to Atlanta in 2001, and I found out that nobody understood or nobody knew what ACCA was in the South of the United States. In 2002, I called UK, and then they gave me a number to ACCA New York, and it was headed by a lady called Patricia Limoges. So I reached out to Patricia, and I said, "What is going on with ACCA? Why don't we have a chapter in Atlanta?" And she said, "Well, we used to have one, but nobody meets. When they try to meet, nobody comes." And I said, "Okay, I'm here. I'm going to lead it if you want me to." So we reconstituted the program. I looked for, she gave me a list of who the ACCA people were. I looked for their numbers in Yellow Pages and called them individually. And by sometime 2003, we had a group. Now, the group was still, people were not really coming through, people were not showing up, but Jeff Bowman, who was the head of Crawford and Company at the time, decided to lead the group, and he led the group for at least 10 years. But what I realized was that even with that, all those guys already had their businesses, and the name of ACCA was not being pushed out. So when I got a chance to become the leader of ACCA Atlanta with my deputy, one of the first things I said was, how can we strengthen ACCA? How can we make ACCA big? And I had the opportunity to watch certain groups and how the groups strengthen themselves. And if you have paid attention, almost every strong group tends to trade within themselves. Okay, all the economic activity tends to stay within themselves. For example, if you have an interview with somebody with an ICA England and Wales, and you have an ICA England and Wales certification, you're most likely going to get a job over somebody who is ACCA. And one of the best things we instituted in Atlanta was hiring within ACCA. we started focusing on developing people's strengths and hiring within ACCA. So if you have a position in your organization, then first you give the first option to an ACCA person. If you don't find an ACCA person, then you're allowed to hire whoever you wanted. And I'm very proud to say that that culture has basically spread across the entire United States and Canada, but it all started in Atlanta. So, but that's just one piece of the platform that ACCA brings. What we saw was a pool of very strong, talented people who were not getting opportunities. And now we are creating opportunities for ourselves. The other thing that I also think about when it comes to strengthening ACCA, we need people at the top of organizations who would hire. So how do we get people who have entered the profession, accounting profession at the base? How do we get them to move to the top? Because if you're not at that position, then you're not going to be able to hire anybody. So again, as a chapter head in Atlanta, what we did was we are going to have 4 meetings in a year. 2, we're going to bring somebody from outside, and then 2 will be somebody within the organization, within the ACCA Atlanta. It wasn't pretty, but we had people, and we asked people, come and present on this topic, come and present on that topic. I remember the first person who presented was me. And then the second person was my deputy, Slavik. And Slavik was very good at presenting on leadership, how he manages his department. And again, this culture has spread all over. And so now when you have, and it is spread all over the United States and Canada, you don't have to introduce ACCA and explain ACCA anymore. And it's because of some of these things. So these are the ideas that I've experienced in a complicated market like the United States because of the issue with AICPA. So going to council, which is going to be at a global scale, what can we do? What do I think? Well, what I think is that the potential of ACCA is not realized yet. We can see it, but it's not fully realized. And what do I mean? I went to the history of why ACCA came about. We haven't touched Latin America. We haven't touched certain parts of Africa. We haven't touched certain parts of Asia. And we have the platform. We already have a gigantic platform that can take accounting education to every part of the world. And for me, that is one of the ways that we can strengthen ACCA. So again, my passion for going to the council, I want us to strengthen ACCA. I want us to recruit more. I want us to spread ACCA across certain parts or the rest of the world and take accounting education to places where we didn't think we could take accounting education. I think ACCA in Latin America probably will be it's a high possibility if we can do it. So my inspiration to go to council is basically just looking for ways to strengthen ACCA. I want us to bring the people who are already working to higher positions so that they can hire. That's one. I want us to retain all our membership as much as possible. It may require cutting down some prices, membership costs in certain regions, but that's fine. We can maintain that. I also want us to expand ACCA into other parts of the world, and while at the same time maintaining the quality of the education that ACCA brings to its members.
Excellent. That's really nice, George. So I am a chartered accountant as well, a fellow of the ACCA as yourself, and I've had so many opportunities that I have, taken on and taken advantage of that ACCA has presented to me. I always say almost all the time that before anything else, I'm an accountant. I'm a fellow of the ACCA. And I have seen my life transform and change in ways that I couldn't imagine. And I keep thinking to myself, I doubt this would have happened if I hadn't gotten the ACCA qualification. So because of that, I always say that, ACCA is the best professional body in the world. Do you share that sentiment?
Actually, you beat me to making that statement. I should have made that statement. I probably have benefited from ACCA more than anybody that I know.
Yeah.
It's an amazing qualification, and it's not, especially for somebody who I've had the opportunity to do the AICPA course. I have a CPA license, and I'm not downplay it at all. It's a very good course for what it's meant for. But for an all-round business person, accounting and all four phases of accounting, all phases of management, you can't have a better qualification. So yes, if you make that statement, I 100% agree with you.
Okay, that's good. So, Dr. George, we shall be voting for ACCA Council starting October 6, 2022 to November 3rd, 2022 at 13 hours GMT. Could you tell us why, George? What should we expect of you on the ACCA Council? Why should we vote for you?
Well, I'm sure ACCA is going to field highly qualified candidates across the board for council. And I think any of them or any of us will be a good candidate. But the reason why I would want or I'd request that people vote for me is that, one, I'm very passionate about ACCA. I've been in ACCA leadership for a while. I understand the governance structure of ACCA. We have the executive side, and then we have the member side. And we need people who are passionate, who are knowledgeable and experienced to be on the member side, to collaborate with executives to achieve these hopes and aspirations that I have for ACCA, that is retaining our members, expanding ACCA, enhancing the skills of existing ACCA members so that they can rise in the roles that they're playing, and also put ACCA at the forefront of thought leadership. ACCA is already in the thick of almost every research that's going on in the area of business. I get phone calls from people who come to IFAC, International Federation of Accountancy in New York, all the time, representing ACCA. So we are in the thick of it, but what I think is that we have to probably take it a step higher. And so these are things that I think I'm very passionate about and knowledgeable about, and want to continue to help the ACCA achieve. The other thing I'll say about ACCA, I think you asked me if it was the best profession. Not just that. This is a profession that teaches you, gives you the knowledge, and gives you discipline, and prepares you for you to go and contribute to the business community, and also contribute, because it's not just a private qualification or government qualification. It pushes you to, prepares you for business, to contribute to the business community, prepares you for you to contribute to government departments, prepares you for you to contribute to academia, and it prepares you for you to give back to the accounting profession. Four phases of anything that you can think about in a professional life. And so it's when I talk about ACCA, sometimes I get chills, but this is what we have. And how can we let people know that this is what we have?
Yeah.
One, by making sure that we enhance what we have so that people can see what we can do.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really liked the last part where you say that you get chills when you talk about ACCA. And can you allow me to just say one little line to blow my own horn here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm a recipient of the Extraordinary Ability Visa. They also call it the Albert Einstein Visa. And I can assure you that without ACCA, maybe it would have really been so tricky for me to get that. But ACCA was one of the facilitators of that. So, and I also get chills because I was like, ooh, you know, all the time, because, you know, ACCA did a lot. ACCA has done a lot for me. And I will share in details, you know, the exact role that ACCA played in me getting the Extraordinary Ability Award. So, George, I know that you're a great leader. And I'm going to vote on October 6th. You know, we don't disclose who we vote for, but I know that you're a great leader, and I will cast my vote on October 6th when the polls are open. And I really hope that ACCA members across the world will cast their votes in the election. I think what we have an opportunity here is we have an opportunity to pick the best leaders, and listening to you speak and looking at your track record and what you have done for the profession over the last 22 years is just remarkable. And what you continue to do at the university as you teach accounting and management information systems, it's also, you know, a very important work, and it is amazing. So at this moment, unless you have something to say, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me in this special conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.